here we go. 1v1 on Semoskiy Summer. This game is going to be Theodosios versus Panzer Grenadier Angreifen. I have cast both of these players. We have seen them both win. Theo taking on Captain Price on Laglay's Breakout, and Angreifen taking on I don't remember, somebody. He won a game. He does that sometimes. We're going to see Theo's Soviets versus Angreifen's Overcommando West, not his Oster. We might be seeing him going scavenge with his double Ostwind build that he likes, or maybe he's changing things up a little bit this patch, doing some experimentation. We'll find out. Scavenge, fortifications, and Luftwaffe. He's not going to be going with that elusive elite armor Sturm Tiger this game, unfortunately. Looks like throwing the Sturm Tiger into elite armor wasn't quite the buff that commander needed to throw it into the meta. What a surprise, but oh well. Looks like maybe a really early and aggressive battle group placement? Or maybe he's just scouting a little or blowing up some cover? I don't know. I'm curious. Yeah, he's just destroying some fences and driving around. Okay. Folks Grenadiers grabbing some territory in the middle. Sturm Pioneers going to grab the fuel point here in the north. Meanwhile, Theo's just taking up some defensive positions in the church and over here on the left side.
Folks Grenadier are on the line. Enemy infantry!
Okay. Conscripts move to engage at range against these Folks Grenadiers jumping into the building. No decisive engagements on either side, just some infantry movements at each player trying to get the upper hand over his opponent. Sturm Pioneers working to cut off before making their way towards the south. Well, they'll have to make a decision to either support in the engagement middle or chase off the combat engineers moving to harass the fuel north. More Folks Grenadiers on their way up here may be able to take on that duty though. And the Sturm Pioneers are going to do neither of those things and move to take, just do some territory harassment up here, but not using them for combat early in the game seems like a waste to me, but Angreifen would know better than me. There's Tier 3 going up, not going with aggressive battle group placement. He just drove into the middle to destroy this fence. And these fences, just wanted to get those out of the way for whatever reason. Before backpedaling a little bit, his wounded Folks Grenadiers leave the building and move up to capture this strategic point, and his fresh squad is going to chase off the combat engineers there while his Sturm Pioneers work on the north VP, and Theo is only just now sending conscripts south to get this fuel point under his control while he continues to engage at range in the cemetery, which is not optimal. This is pretty much the only scenario in which Folks Grenadiers are actually able to engage pretty well against conscripts. Long range in cover. Although Theo is probably still pulling ahead regardless. But it's a very non-lethal game so far. Each of them has taken only 2 or 3 losses and no serious engagements on either side. Just capping territory, playing very conservatively here in the early game. No aggressive cutoff maneuvers by either player, despite the map. Looks like these combat engineers might win this engagement, even with... Ooh, a grenade! That's sneaky. Not enough, though. That did nothing, but it will probably win the engagement for the Folks Grenadiers. The combat engineers don't want to retreat. They want to pull the Folks Grenadiers into a lengthy, time-consuming engagement, making them chase all the way up into this not very frequently used piece of the map. There's the retreat. Finally, combat engineers have a long road home, with maybe even the potential of Sturm Pioneers gunning them down on retreat if they could get into the retreat path, but conscripts find them before that has an opportunity to evolve. Folks Grenadiers will take back control of the fuel point, and engagements for the middle of the map continue to drag out at a snail's pace, with infantry firing at each other between buildings. No Molotov research yet for Theodosios, so he doesn't have a way to force his opponent out of these structures. Ooh, conscripts didn't move into a cover position at any point during that engagement, and the Sturm Pioneers sneak into close range somehow and force a retreat and take only 1 loss. They're going to throw down a shoot line right there, maybe a little early. Theo might have even seen that getting planted. These 2 squads will make it back to the base, but these conscripts moving up on the flank will force the Folks Grenadiers out of this building into a retreat. Stern Pioneers will be forced to retreat right there.
Anti-tank battery is ready for deployment.
Ooh, pretty good shoe mine. Takes out a lot of those conscripts. The Volksgrenadier squad, even this wounded one, should be able to force them to retreat back into the base, and Angreifen will retain control of the North territories. They don't get picked off, though. They will round that corner and manage to retreat to safety. Nice harassment by Angreifen here in the south as well, throwing up a sandbag position to try and harass that fuel point for as long as possible, and Theo is getting pushed off the map at all points. Without Molotov research, he cannot push his opponent out of the buildings, and Angreifen will slowly win engagements for the center village, start taking control of the territory here, while also winning engagements on both flanks of the map. And despite having gone tier 3, he did not get a quick light vehicle, instead just throwing fuel transfer on into a tier 2 structure. Maybe we're gonna see some kind, I don't even know what his build is. I'm curious about this build.
Is now in operation.
He's doing so well with just Volksgrenadier play that he doesn't feel that he needs a quick light vehicle, and honestly the flak half-track doesn't perform great on this map anyway, so we just threw that on the field for fuel transfer, and he holds both fuel points. He is just dominating right now. There's a flamethrower out for Theo. He will force a retreat with that. He finally has a building management tool, and he's also going to grab a Maxim, which is a little bit stronger this patch as well. Raketenwerfer will provide vision of the center, but it's not going to do that much damage. We will see light harassment of the north going unopposed. He should get some of that territory back under his control. Stern Pioneers on their way to counter. Volksgrenadiers set up in green cover, but the conscripts hoorah into close range. And it looks like Theo is going to start taking territory back on multiple fronts of this map. It is quite difficult for Oberkommando West to defend the flanks for any extended period of time. There's a sneaky grenade. Nice reaction by Theo, though. Sees it just in time. And those Volksgrenadiers will have no choice but to retreat, might even get wiped. They have a long retreat path, and their retreat path is compromised, I think. Ooh, I don't think that's going to get away.
Fuck, we've lost a man! We rise in the ranks.
Huge volley from those conscripts. Wow, really? Oh my goodness, I can't even believe what I'm seeing. He continues the chase, though, sort of.
Contact!
Kind of just let that escape, honestly. He could have tried a little harder to pick that up. Flamethrower also almost makes it to the retreat path, but they will be forced away by these squads. And here in the north, another engagement between Stern Pios and conscripts. They get caught at very short range again and are forced to retreat. Those Stern Pioneers are engaging quite nicely this game, especially taking shoe mines into account. The Maxim in the church catches that Raketenwerfer out of position. That will be forced away. Volksgrenadiers jumping into this building. We'll spot some conscripts right there, which retreat maybe prematurely. I'm not sure why they retreated. But a lot of squads being sent back into Theo's base from multiple fronts. I guess he just wants to reinforce and heal. He has purchased Field Infirmary. No further tech from him yet. He has gone with Soviet Combined Arms, giving him access to the ML-20, which I've heard is extremely strong against Oberkommando West, and probably a significant motivator for Angreifen to throw his trucks in his base, rather than with an aggressive battle group location. But that's certainly nothing new. Soviet indirect fire has always been a scary thing. This patch clearly no different. Here comes tier 3, which will give Theo access to the dreaded M5 and possibly also the other tier 3 things, which are potentially also scary. Fuel transfer still going for Angreifen, and he's stacking it up pretty high. He could go tier 4 if he wanted to and start making his way towards a Panzer IV.
Area secure. Cover the advances.
Or who knows? He hasn't picked a commander yet. He might be thinking Ostwind later on, but he's not that close to that CP-wise. But he has a lot of fuel. I'm very curious to see what he's going to do with it. There's some guards on the field there as well. Stern Pioneers look for another opportunity against these conscripts. They put away the Minesweeper, doing heavy damage at close range, but the guards will win this engagement easily enough. That's almost a late retreat right there, but all those PTRS shots just missed, so they should be able to get away. Assuming no miracles. Yep, Stern Pioneers get to retreat safely. Here comes the Tier 4 structure, and he will place this one aggressively. This is going to leave him vulnerable to the ML-20 when it hits the field, but the T-70 will definitely experience no success pushing beyond the middle of the map. And the infantry support gun is dealing heavy damage to the Maxim in the building, which is going to have to get out of there if it doesn't want to be wiped. This building is falling low. Theo doesn't seem to be reacting as he's managing an engagement in the north, trying to get those conscripts to safety away from Volksgrenadiers engaging from cover and inside of a building. There's the reaction just in time. That building was just probably one more barrage away from full collapse, and the Maxim will be forced to retreat right there. Guards engaging at range seem to be doing okay. Both squads have yellow cover, and they are pulling ahead of this squad of Volksgrenadiers. Meanwhile, the flamethrower working on the VP here in the north. Conscripts managed to complete a green cover position, but Volksgrenadiers make it onto their flank. Engaging at point-blank range, this could come down to a grenade toss. Or maybe the Volksgrenadiers will just win out over time. Yes, they will. Conscripts are not comfortable continuing the engagement and will retreat. Support is on its way as well. These two squads, however, had no choice but to retreat from the T-70 smashing onto the field. Oh no, we might look at two wipes right here. There goes one, second one falling dangerously low, and a Puma on its way to try and counter is too late to save Angreifen from this. I think that's two wipes. Here it comes. This is very, very expensive losses for Angreifen. The T-70 is forced to pull into the base quite deep. Ooh, and almost ate a Rakettenwerfer shot right there. One more and that T-70 might go down. Here it comes. He needs to land it at long range. Oh, it's barely missed. So close, and the Puma is too late to trade, which means the T-70 gets away with two squads of Volksgrenadiers wiped, and those pickups are going to help Theo bounce back into this game hard. But I think it's still worth noting that with fuel transfer active this whole time, even with the purchase of that Puma, Angreifen has quite the fuel advantage, having held both fuel points for a very long time this game, and Theo, with only 50 fuel in the bank after purchasing that T-70, is going to have quite a ways to go if he ever wants to see even a medium tank on the field. Jaeger Light Infantry win their engagement against those guards, recovering a DP machine gun in the process and getting this fuel back under their control. But the Volksgrenadiers south have to retreat through a Maxim and a couple squads of conscripts, which is not a good situation to be in. Oh, the Puma found the T-70 in the north. It was wounded before it could receive repairs. It does go down, and the Puma will now be free and clear to harass Theo's infantry, or at least the squads that don't have PTRSs or AT grenades, which is basically all of them. And yeah, it's not going to have much of a role for a while, and a field gun is also in production to counter. But the T-70 going down is a very nice pickup for Angreifen, and I guess I'm not sure who's in the lead now. The pop caps for both sides actually are still quite low, 13 minutes into the game, and neither of them is even up to 50 yet because of these losses on both sides.
Anti-tank gun is ready for action. The enemy has us ranged. The enemy is encroaching on our territory. Ready. HMG crew is ready.
Rakettenwerfer camouflage protecting here in the middle. Maxim also moving up to provide coverage for these conscripts. Infantry support gun laying fire on these squads as they advance, and the Tier 4 structure will of course prevent these squads from moving up too aggressively. Maxim will probably pressure the gun into pulling back a little bit. Puma also moving up on the flank to do light damage with the coaxial machine gun, but guards are on their way to push that Puma back. A few more mines going down here on the north road, and more harassment of the south by a fresh squad of Jaeger Light Infantry, and I'm starting to think we might be looking at an Austrian here, with a Rakettenwerfer and a Puma on the field. Angreifen has a decent amount of anti-tank. He may feel that a mobile counter-harassment unit that has the potential to wipe along a long retreat path would be more valuable. He's about to be at 8 CPs, but he still has a little bit more fuel he needs to collect before he can get that on the field. And he does still have fuel transfer active, which would explain why he has no Panzerschrecks and almost all of his munitions are going into just a few mines. That one didn't give him much, just one model off a combat engineer squad. Not much of a return on that investment when munitions are so precious. We're looking at about 1 mine every 3 minutes at his current level of munitions income, unless he can restore some of these cutoffs, and even then it's just being transferred into fuel. Flamethrower squad makes its way to the north to grab that fuel point. Guards taking control of everything there as well, and Angreifen has a hold on the central village, but it looks like Oberkommando West struggles to maintain the flanks this patch as much as they ever have. He just can't get sufficient firepower up to and down to those fuel points to hold them for any extended amount of time, despite some pretty impressive success in that area in the early game. As the game extends, he's clearly struggling in that department. Maxim will be forced out of this building by infantry support gun fire. Some random corpses fling around through the air. Grenade assault. Theo doesn't look like he's reacting to that heavy damage. We might see that squad forced to retreat, but I don't even think Angreifen can win this engagement. The engagement for the center going a little better with infantry support gun fire. The guards there are forced to retreat. Field gun will also pull back a little bit. And we're going to see an Su-76 fielded, so he's going pretty hard into Tier 3. We're not going to see any Tier 4, and there's the Ostwind. Going Puma straight into Ostwind, and that will help him quite a bit with mobile anti-infantry harassment, or counter-harassment. Conscripts taking control of some territory here in the south, also under infantry support gun fire, and for its cost, this actually appears to be doing pretty well this game. It now costs 330, got a significant cost reduction, so it seems to be pretty okay for what he paid for it, forcing some retreats and inflicting minor bleed in conjunction with Jaeger Light Infantry. Seems to be performing pretty okay. Su-76 will serve him quite well against Ostwind and Puma. I think it will come down very much to Angreifen's ability to flank, and so far it looks like the game is quite even. 428 to 382, neither player managing to take control of the victory points. So this game will definitely be extended significantly unless there's a very decisive engagement on either side. Jaeger Light Infantry taking control of the south fuel, and here in the center, Stern Pioneers are grabbing the VP. These Jaeger Light Infantry moving to take control of the strategic point in the north. But it's a bit of a ceasefire other than that. They're just a lot of reinforcement and healing and getting things back to the front line. And notably, the ML-20 is available to Theo, but he has not purchased it yet. Wonder if he's going to start saving up some manpower for that, or if he would rather just keep utilizing core units. More mines going down here in the middle. Still no minesweeper for Theo. He's got a flamethrower on his one squad of combat engineers, so he would need to field a second one to get some of these cleaned up. He's triggered 2 already this game, so he's got to be aware of the fact that he's going to keep hitting them if he doesn't find a way to sweep them up. Puma and Ostwind are both moving towards the middle to support in these engagements, and a fresh T-70 is being sent towards the south. Jaeger Light Infantry might get wiped as a result. Not sure Angreifen is expecting that to hit the field. He spots it very early though, so he should be able to get to safety. Volksgrenadiers also going to be forced to retreat from this engagement. They don't have a Panzerschreck and it's not upgrading. Ooh, and another squad just got wiped here in the building. He was not monitoring. Not sure what it was, but it's dead now, I think. Puma moves to counter the T-70 here in the south, and it should have no problem chasing that off, maybe even hunting it and destroying it. It's maneuvering very awkwardly. I think we may see an attempt here by Angreifen to hunt and destroy that. Long shot does not quite connect, and here comes the AT grenade to make sure that Puma does not destroy the T-70. It will get to safety. He keeps moving beyond the conscripts to try and take a long shot through the fog, but even if it connected, that self-repair definitely saving him. These 2 squads making their way towards the middle to take the VP and strategic point. That flamethrower squad needs to be careful. If they hit that mine, it could be a wipe. Ostwind on its way to push them into retreating as well. Plus infantry support gun fire. They could not stick around in that engagement. AT grenade probably does not do sufficient damage to do engine damage on an Ostwind anymore from full health. So they don't have much of a defense against it, and they need to wait for this AT gun to move up to support. One shot connects. Austrian may be forced to pull back to safety. Meanwhile, another engagement for the south sees the Su-76 taking shots at the engine damage on that Puma, and it might go down. That was close. Su-76 might take a long shot or a barrage. Long shot into the fog does not connect, and he will not utilize the HE barrage either. Try and get a miracle hit at range, so the Puma will get away. Thanks to 2 consecutive misses from that Su-76, but only just barely. Grenade assault is off target here in the south, and those Volksgrenadiers will have no choice but to retreat from this engagement. Conscripts taking control of the fuel point. And still neither player taking really a strong hold of the map or the clock, although Angreifen had a nice period where he had both fuel points under his control. That is coming to an end now as Theo makes his advance across the south, getting everything down here under his control. Austrian has been mostly repaired, Puma fully repaired. It will be available to continue engaging, but the Su-76 will continue to pose a threat. T-70 is also repaired and might be utilized for counter-harassment duties here in the north, trying to gun these squads down on retreat. Heavy damage on the Maxim. Oh! Building does not quite go down, and the squad makes it out with just 3 men remaining. PTRS fire and AT gun fire, maybe, I guess. I'm not sure what happened to that Austrian, but it falls dangerously low and is forced to pull back for repairs, and the T-70 will succeed in scaring off these Jaeger Light infantry. Decent chance of a wipe since there is nothing defending the retreat path. I don't see any mines either. Looks like that's going to be yet another wipe. Puma is on its way to scare off the T-70, maybe just in time to save the day. Needs a miracle hit at long range. Does not quite get it. Puma taking long shots at the T-70. 1 connects, and it is now up to Vet 2. And the higher this thing gets vetted, the more dangerous it will become. AT grenade on its way to save the day, but the long shot connects. The T-70 goes down. Not enough smoke, or he doesn't pop smoke in time to prevent the AT grenade, but even with engine damage, he should have no trouble getting back to safety. So that Jaeger Light infantry squad gets away with just 1 man remaining. T-70 not quite so lucky. Nice attempt at a save by Theo right there, but he just couldn't make it happen. That Puma was just too quick to react and get to that engagement just in time. Was that an ML-20 I just heard? Oh, I think so. Yes, it is. ML-20 barrage being fired at the Tier 4 structure means that Angreifen will only be able to hold this line for so long. Looks like the really high scatter at this range means a lot of shots are not going to connect. But the longer this thing is allowed to be on the field, the more difficulty Angreifen is going to have holding this line, and it's only going to take a couple miracle hits on infantry squads to start having a very dramatic impact. Not to mention the fact that Theo has access now to a bomb strike, and dropped in conjunction with an artillery strike. There may be nothing that Angreifen can do to keep this truck alive. And there's the first wipe. Many more to follow, I'm sure, taking out this building as well.
Young Panzer has arrived.
Grenade assault right there from the Volksgrenadiers, but Theo will dodge it again, and the Volksgrenadiers will probably be forced to retreat. This Vet 2 Puma might be able to do light harassment to these infantry, but it does need to stay at a distance away from their AT grenades if possible. Infantry support gun has been recruited, but all of its veterancy is gone. We'll be starting from scratch. Jaeger Light Infantry moved to take control of some territory there in the north, and Raketenwerfer also available for a little bit of backcapping. Austrian successfully chases off a couple of infantry. Is it already firing again? Man, it fires so quick. I feel like it just fired. It's just constantly firing, I guess. This is just, you just have to deal with it. That truck it's not even safe to repair. I have to try and repair between barrages, and the window apparently is very short. Austrian gets too close to engine damage, and the Su-76 is not going to let it get away this time. Looks like that Puma is going to go down. There is Austrian and Jagdpanzer on the field, so the Puma did a good job handling the threat of T-70s, but it's dead. I think, maybe, probably. Right? I don't know. It's actually getting kind of close. Su-76 doesn't want to stick around, and the Puma makes another miracle escape. Since thanks to that Su-76 missing a few critical shots through the smoke.
78604 is taken.
Looks like I was mistaken. Can't believe this thing is still alive. It's only got 4 kills, but 2 of those kills are T-70s, so it's been a useful tool. And at Vet 3, it gets more and more powerful, even against infantry. So he's getting his money's worth out of this unit, that's for sure. Austrian moves to push away some squads of infantry here in the middle, and the ML-20 is available to fire again in 1 second. And there's a T-34-76 on the field now as well, so Theo has made it not only to an ML-20 but also to Tier 4, which gives him access to the T-34, Su-85, and Katyusha. If any of those options sound appealing to him, having a T-34-76 will provide a very nice counter to the Austrian and probably Puma. The Jagdpanzer, of course, is Angreifen's solution to that unit. Recon plus bomb run, I believe, coming on the Tier 4 structure, and I honestly don't think there's anything Angreifen could do to save this. I'm not even sure he's going to drop the bomb. Okay, he probably didn't even have to. He probably could have just waited for one more barrage, but it's definitely going to be destroyed here. Bomb run takes out the truck. Also, the plane landed on this Maxim. This time, the nerf to plane crash damage is actually evident. That was a wipe 100%. But it landed a little off, so only half of the squad died, which is totally fair and balanced and 100% esports ready. We definitely should not have just removed that from the game entirely. Why would we have done something like that? Only 2 plane crashes in 1 day of casting. It barely ever happens. That's just confirmation bias, you guys. Honestly, plane crashes are so rare. It's never even gonna happen in a tournament setting. Jagdpanzer will be forced to pull back to safety a little bit, taking damage from the AT gun. Volksgrenadiers taking a bit of damage. They will be forced away. Only 2 men remaining. Wow, that random ML-20 shot on the Jagdpanzer just annihilated it. Huge damage, and it will be forced to pull back for repairs. And Theo is just the slow and steady beating that ML-20 is delivering. It doesn't seem like Angreifen has any solution to it. I don't know what he can do. He'd have to YOLO straight into his opponent's base with vehicles or something, get that thing destroyed, and that would be suicide, honestly. Shoe Mine does some damage to that field gun, but that infantry support gun stands no chance. Obviously, it will get cleared, and all of Angreifen's vehicles are taking heavy damage and will be forced to pull back for repairs. Su-76 penetration buff is apparently not quite enough to be too dangerous against a Jagdpanzer. Still a couple shots bouncing, but dangerous enough that Angreifen is scared off. He needs to pull back and get repaired. It's proving difficult for him to do. He doesn't have the Vet 3 bonus on stern piles yet, so fully repairing all this stuff is going to take some time.
Unit ready.
Wow, I didn't know that the Mechanized Regiment HQ could repair 2 different things simultaneously. That's kind of interesting. I've never seen that happen before. I wonder if there's a way to micro that intentionally, or if that just happened. Maybe Angreifen is using some sort of next level tactics here that I'm not aware of. ML-20 firing once again here in the north. Jaeger Light Infantry are gonna gamble a little, which they should not have done. There they go. Conscripts taking control of territory here in the south. And this futile push towards the middle is just going to grind some Volksgrenadiers up into meat, and they'll be immediately forced back into the base. So it looks like Theo has taken a very strong hold of this game. Conscripts are making their way towards the north to try and get that territory under control. These 2 vehicles are on their way to push them away as Angreifen tries to maintain clock control. He's got a little bit of manpower in the bank. He has a little resources to work with, but I just don't know how he's going to win this. He's got the vehicles. He's taking heavy infantry losses, and he has some banked manpower for his to replace those losses, and he's got the vehicles to engage. He really does. He's got 2 Austrians, a Jagdpanzer, a Puma. That's Vet 3. He can win engagements. It's just juggling the threat of the M20 and microing all of these vehicles, which are not. He doesn't have anything really beefy that can stick around in a dangerous engagement all day long. It just makes it very dangerous. Very difficult. Sturm Pioneers walk into a very bad engagement right there. Need to get away from that T-34. Double Austrian in the north tries to pick up the wipe on that conscript squad. Almost manages it, but he doesn't go with doesn't push too aggressively. This squad getting cut down quick will also need to retreat, and the Jagdpanzer is available here to push away the T-34 and Su-76, and there's a second T-34 on the field now as well, moving up on the flank here left. So Angreifen has to be aware of that threat and manage it accordingly. Looks like that field gun is overextending itself, could get cleared any second. There it goes. ML20 firing on somewhere in this area. If it gets a big miracle hit, it might turn the engagement in his favor. There it is. Hits the house, and the Raketenwerfer is wiped. Vehicles all moving out of the ML20 strike radius, but a bomb strike is being called in here. Fortunately, it's not too much of a traffic jam, and he micros out of it beautifully. Perfect split, and he should get mostly clear. Maybe those Volksgrenadiers might eat some of that. A couple of them go down, but nothing too serious. And then the vehicle engagement, the T-34 is destroyed, and the Su-76 goes down to Jagdpanzer fire. Nice engagement by Angreifen, taking out 2 Soviet vehicles. This one moving up on the flank to try and save the day. Will be vulnerable maybe to aimed shot. No, he doesn't have the munitions for it. Jagdpanzer needs to try and get to safety. Here come AT grenades on the flank, and it takes engine damage, and the T-34 gets out with half health. ML20 barrage landing in the midst of the engagement, dealing heavy damage to all vehicles. And an Su-76 deployed at the very last second gets up on the flank of the Jagdpanzer and destroys it once and for all. But overall, I want to say Angreifen pulled ahead in that, maybe? I don't know, it was just chaos on both sides. Hard to say. T-34 is going to get back out of there. If Puma can get in range for one last shot, maybe. Austrians are bringing these conscripts down quick, and the Su-76 here dealing significant damage. May be able to take out that Austrian with engine damage, but the Puma moves up and finishes it off. That Vet 4 Puma has taken a serious toll on Theo this game. He just can't keep up with that damn thing. There's some engine damage. Oh, and that lucky main gun destroyed crit. I think, do they both? No, this is just the smoke or something. There may be nothing Angreifen can do to save this Puma, but the turret rotation on the T-34 actually might save it. It doesn't quite get the killing shot, and that Puma might be making it to safety right here. If an Austrian gets to the rear of that T-34, it could be a problem. ML20 barrage though, oh, and he wasn't expecting the T-34 to re-engage. Light damage on the T-34's rear armor, but it does pick up the Puma unpunished. Austrian, however, looks like it is going to escape. With the Puma and Jagdpanzer destroyed, Angreifen is reduced just to his double Austrian composition, leaving him with almost no anti-tank to deal with 2 T-34s, which are still on the field. This fresh one drives right in, finishes off the damaged Austrian right there. And Angreifen is reduced to basically nothing. His huge manpower bank completely exhausted, as well as he fields 2 emergency Raketenwerfers to the field to try to handle the threat of his opponent's tanks. Theo also not in much of a great manpower situation, has lost a lot of vehicles. I think I've lost count, a T-34, 2 Su-76s, I think. I don't know, he's lost things. So he doesn't have a whole lot of manpower right now, but he does have a much better composition. Ahead of his opponent by a good 20 pop cap, he should be able to start taking solid control of the game again. He lost control of the game a little bit thanks to a very solid push by Angreifen, but it looks like he's bouncing back, and he should be able to get the clock ticking against his opponent. With a 150 VP lead, Angreifen has kind of failed to execute in a way that is going to win in this game. And he may not be able to recover from this. With only 1 Austrian left and 2 Raketenwerfers, he's going to really struggle to do anything, especially, I mean, a reliance on team weapons is not a good thing when your opponent has now got a Vet 2 ML20 that's been bombarding you all game and is only getting more and more annoying. Pounding the cutoff now. Every single shot has the potential to wipe out these fresh team weapons. Austrian gets buttoned in the middle, but it's not that big of a deal. I don't think there's a field gun out right now. I don't know what happened to the Soviet field gun. Oh, there it is. Hasn't been destroyed, but neither side has recovered it yet. The T-34 is going to move in. Nice flank, moving up from behind right there. The Raketenwerfer, pretty ready though, is going to start pounding on its rear armor, but there's just too much burst damage from those T-34s. They go in for a perfectly timed flank, and the Austrian gets picked up easily. Theo capitalizing on his armored advantage here to make sure that he takes full control of this game and seals the deal. Angreifen will be completely pushed out of the middle, and unless he gets some kind of miracle, I don't know what form that miracle would take. I'm pretty sure there is no way Angreifen can take back control of this game. There's his last desperate Austrian. If this gets destroyed in the same fashion as this one did, that's probably going to be GG. Angreifen currently triple capped with only 150 VPs remaining and showing no signs of being able to turn the game around. He's going to throw camo on his Raketenwerfers here so that maybe he can try something sneaky with them. Try and pick up some of his opponent's tanks. Although some conscripts spot them. He's going to send them south to do some unopposed back capping. Meanwhile, the entire north looks like it's going to fall into Soviet control. We'll see a light counter-harassment attempt, but I'm not entirely sure it's going to succeed. This many tanks available. Here comes the last Austrian, making a very aggressive push into the middle. Aggressive crush maneuver against that Maxim will force it to retreat, and the T-34s are going to move up to try and punish it for that overextension. Raketenwerfers are on their way to put pressure on the flanking T-34s, but they're being forced to reposition by an ML-20 barrage in conjunction with the T-34's advance, and it looks like this Austrian is going to go down. Austrian will try and sneak to safety along this particular path, trying to get out of this engagement. That Raketenwerfer's been cleared. I don't think they've even fired a shot, and the ML-20 clears out that one, which means that that Austrian has no way of getting clear. It's got engine damage. T-34 hunts it down easily, and there is definitely nothing Angreifen can do. This game is over as Theo's T-34s rampage across the map and clean up all targets of opportunity. He will be pushed back into his base. I gotta say, the ML-20 feels like another one of those buffs that I didn't ask for, but I apparently received. Man, I sure am glad that the already viable M5 and already viable ML-20 are even stronger for no reason. Ugh. I feel like the problems people had with this unit were not addressed. Which is the ability to one-shot it with any form of recon plus Stuka dive bomb. You can still do that, but Oberkommando West's problems against it have been made worse. Because that makes sense, I guess. Which means it's even better at annihilating static Oberkommando West positions. Nice usage of that stolen field gun right there to take out that T-34. But it's really just a moral victory. I don't think that that's going to do anything to bring Angreifen back into this game, especially not with squads of infantry getting wiped on the flanks of the map. 60 VPs remaining, and they will continue ticking. Nothing you can do about that.
Lost. Point taken. Suppressive fire. Don't lose faith in the power of the Soviets. Consolidate our forces. We are down to 50 points. Let's go! Ready! Taking small arms fire! Veteran Z, gain some others! Protect the flank! Flank cover! Flanking attack! Ready!
Stern Pioneers cutting down some infantry. ML-20 continues bombarding team weapons, and with conscripts on the flank, they will be easily picked up and wiped. Not even really, I don't know, Angreifen's basically just going through the motions while he waits for the game to end of its own volition. 17 points left, so that's pretty much GG. everything gets wrapped up here in the north, and Angreifen will receive no miracles.
10 points remain. All hope is lost. Der Teufel wird los sein.
Also a bomb run, I guess. Does not even arrive. There you have it, another 40-minute victory. Theodosios takes it as Soviets against Panzer Grenadier Angreifen's over Commando West on Semoskiy Summer. I can't believe it. Whoa. GG. Allies win.